Johnny,
Tim,
check it out. Air Stokely in the house. Johnny, you and I jump a little bit. We certainly can jump, but one thing we cannot do, or at least we haven't tried to do, backflip.
a backflip's not for the faint of heart, Tim. And
It's not.
The good news is we got Air Stokely in the house.
Air Stokely in the house. And I've been on the boat when this guy's tried to do like 30 in a row. I know that to get to a point of competence on this thing, he's probably done hundreds of backflips, but I'll tell you what, he has it dialed now. As Johnny said, this is not for the faint of heart. We don't endorse this, we don't suggest this. However, if you want to know how to do a backflip, we're gonna show you, we're gonna tell you. Stokely, what is the number one thing we gotta think about when it comes time to do a backflip?
Probably the takeoff. If you flip the way I do, you got to come in tight to the wave. You got to keep your outside shoulder out. Most people turn it in, and then they end up flipping and rotating. So you got to keep that shoulder
So
out.
when you say tight to the wave, what do you mean? Like tight to the ridge line?
Yep. Not like when you come in for a jump. I like to get out there, pump in, and then just come down the line, just along the wave inside, look tight, and throw the flip. Because most people have a problem with is landing off, in an angle that doesn't work out.
And so when so if I'm coming down, I'm doing it goofy here. I'm coming down, you're saying this shoulder has to stay open. So
yeah,
chest towards the boat.
So like you're coming in, you definitely don't come in like this. I almost come in like this and jump and rotate over this shoulder so that you can land straight rather than land and go that way. If you land and you turn that way, you end up falling on your back. It takes about 200 tries to figure that out.
And one of the things we were talking about last night was your foot in the foot straps. So I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna zoom in on your feet. Tell us how you kind of rotate.
Well, this is just me. I think a lot of people, all people throw different types of flips. So sometimes if they throw a flip that's kind of more like a backflip than a roll, then this probably doesn't apply. But for me, I like to kind of almost turn my feet forward a little bit so that I'm almost standing like this and doing a backflip straight towards the boat.
You have a favorite setup that you jump with, and this is a Armstrong setup that you like. Front wing, CF 1200 V2. Back wing, what are you going on the back wing?
The Surf 205 is what I use, but I use the 232 forever. Probably a Chop 232 would also be good. And then I'm not that familiar with some of the new ones, but I bet there's a lot of good ones that work. Yeah, I just like the Surf 205 because it works for me.
Okay, and then you go with a 50 centimeter fuse.
I do. I don't know that it's necessary, but it helps. I think it helps just a little bit.
Okay.
It takes away from your pumping, but it probably gives you a little bit more pop.
Now, there's a conversation in terms of mast size. Sometimes, I know when we were thinking about doing some aerials, maybe we start on a shorter mast first and then go to our regular 72 centimeter mast. What do you think about mast height?
I like the 72, but a lot of people like the longer ones. I think it's whatever you've gotten used to when you're doing airs, whatever you have that timing, so you know when the foil's gonna pop, just use whatever works for you. I've never used anything shorter than a 72, but I like the 72. I'm most consistent with it. I think the 79 or 80 or an 86. 86 is probably fine, but probably not any further than that. 72 though, to me, is the easiest.
Okay. And then when you look at the potential dangers, are there any tips that people need to think about? Whether, I think about, are my feet gonna fly off the board? Am I gonna get cleavered by the foil when it swings around? Like,
yeah.
How have you worked through that process of doing this in a somewhat safe manner?
So, I've flipped 2,000 times and the foils never hit me. I just kind of take that and that gives me confidence. The only time I've ever really hurt myself is on the landing of a transfer, and I was using a high aspect wing that kind of was more stiff.
Yeah.
And kind of hurt my foot, but I've
just
done so many flips.
Was I there?
No,
Oh,
no.
okay, that wasn't that one.
Just done so many flips, it's never hit me.
Yeah.
The one you're talking about, I was using some straps. That's another, I guess that's probably important. You really want to make sure the straps are perfect. If you have to sit on the dock for 20 minutes, adjusting the straps, never compromise, just never settle. Get the straps where they're really tight, but your feet can go all the way in.
Okay.
So the time that I was with you, I was using straps that weren't quite right, and when I did something, I think it was a 360, might have been a flip, I came out of the straps and I just the board hit both my shins. I didn't have like
we call that a contusion in the business, Stokely.
Yeah.
Hey, so let's talk about the foot straps. These are your foot straps. Johnny, lift that thing over here. These are hyperlight foot straps.
Yeah.
That you like, and what about the angles?
It's just whatever fits your stance. So this happens to fit my stance. I happen to really like the screw patterns on this board, so this is my go-to. These straps I like because they're really soft. I think there's a lot of different good options, but these are the ones I've found that I like. I don't think you can buy these. I think they come with a board, so you have to buy a board to get the straps. So.
Okay, now it bears noting that at least for Stokely, when you jump, you actually like a slightly longer board. This is the WKT 122. Johnny and I ride the 109 in terms of just overall, you know, wake foiling, just so it a little less swing weight, a little easier to pump. Why do you like the 122 versus the 109?
Honestly, I had it and I put the straps on and I had some success and I just haven't changed it. I think you could do the shorter one probably does the trick also. I like the rocker on these because when I land it kind of pumps back up, but honestly I think what's more important is that your feet are in a good spot in relation to, you know, the way you stand. So if the screw pattern works for you here and the board works, it does, but if it's great. But if you need to go to a different one, I don't think it's gonna matter much, just whatever you like.
Okay, so for people who don't know what rocker is, if you're doing backflips, you probably do, but just in case, that's this nose bend up here. What Armstrong did for takeoffs, for kite foiling, for towing and everything is they put a little extra bend at the front to make it easier for this to break free of the water and get going. This is a low leader board. It's about 8. Johnny, what are your questions?
I don't know, but I have a statement. The statement is that flips are cool. You know, we should try to learn it, but I know why we haven't, Tim. You want to know what that is?
I think I know, but I want to hear you say it.
Well, Stokely said, hey, now that I'm up here in Seattle, this lake's cold. And compared to where they're from, it is. So we don't like falling. Once we're up, we don't necessarily like going back in that water, but I think we're going to have to get used to it.
I know. Yeah. This time of year, it's probably okay. The other months, these boys come up from Texas down there, that water is as hot as it is in our air. Like, their water gets up to like 80, 90 degrees. I was down there riding with Stokely and Sean B one time, and I got all hot because I'm riding. I fall in the water. I'm like, man, I feel like I just fell into a hot tub. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, Stokely, Sean B too, even though you're not on film, it is a pleasure to have you guys here. Stokely, thanks so much for the tips. Really appreciate it. We're going to shoot some footage of Stokely doing some flips. We'll blend it in here. Hopefully it helps you. Remember, do it safely. Do it on your own accord. Don't do it because we told you to do it.
Yeah, do it because there's Stokely.
Do it because Stokely. All right, get out there, have fun. Thanks so much. You.